cricket is what binds Australians and Indians together. From the first day that I set foot on this continent 4 decades ago and travelled by train all the way from West Bengal to the border with Pakistan, it was cricket that people wanted to talk to me about. And that goes on. So, I'm in the position where I'm talking to my Prime Minister about what he might say to your Prime Minister Modi. And I talk about all the important things that are happening in our strategic relationship or in our business, and they take some notice of that, but frankly, when they come together, they want to talk cricket. And what has also happened in those 40 years is that this particular rivalry between Australia and India has become the apex rivalry in global cricket. And didn't we see that last year with the wonderful Border Gavaskar series, and aren't we going to see it again with all the cricket that lies ahead of us? The second thing I want to say is that there is a world of opportunity between Australia and India in business. Now, India is now the fifth, perhaps the fourth biggest economy in the world. It's the fastest growing large economy in the world. Within 3 years, it will account for 20% of global growth, one country alone. So every country in the world is interested in India economically. But for Australia, it's special. For Australia, it's special because we are strategic partners, we are neighbours, but most important, we have a complementary economy. We produce very different things to what India produces, and we can produce the things that India needs for the next generation of its economic growth. Be that high-quality energy products, be that minerals like the critical minerals that will be needed for India's electric vehicle industry, or whether it's the agri-products that are rising and more a middle class that is looking for premium products. That can also come from Australia. And finally, the skills and the education that this large number of Indian middle class will need to fulfil their destiny in this growing India. That is also something that Australia can bring. So that's why we're here tonight. We are here tonight to use cricket as a way of ensuring that the business links between Australia and India are maximised. We are using cricket to get beyond cricket. Our bilateral relationship has been founded on cricket, but there are many great things in the future, and tonight is about demonstrating how we can use cricket to get to business. Our simple message to you tonight is for the Indian cricket fanatics who could come to Australia for the series this year. Come for the cricket, but stay for the business. See your favourite players on our favourite grounds for several days, and then spend 24 hours looking at the business opportunities. They are massive. They are something that you will not be disappointed, and we encourage you to come. I want to thank all of those who've made this huge event tonight successful. Paul Murphy, our Consul General, who you heard before. Tim Thomas, who leads our Centre for Australia-India Relations. We're doing something very special there. We're saying that the Indian diaspora in Australia have a special role to play in our bilateral relationship, and we're putting a large fragment in their hands. I want to thank Cricket Australia. Richard Orstock is here today. Super to see you here, mate. All the very best. I hope everyone has a great night today, and I really hope you choose to come to the cricket and stay for the business. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the launch of the 25-26 Summer of Cricket. This is the second year of a blockbuster season, and it was great that we were able to work with Cricket Australia to think about an unprecedented time in our cricket history that could absolutely harness the opportunity around the broader Australia-India relationship. As Philip said, I'm the CEO of the Centre for Australia-India Relations, and I'll just say a couple of words about why the government has set up this quite unique piece of architecture in the bilateral relationship. So we are about being a very clear centre of gravity in Australia, working with our DFAT colleagues from Philip's team to really promote, harness, energise the relationship, both at a federal government level. We work very closely with each of the state governments, but we also work very closely with the private sector and the education and research sector. So think of us as a bit of a connecting tissue, operating on the edges of government, working in a very integrated way with the non-government actors to really fully embrace the opportunity that is the Australia-India bilateral relationship. I am very honoured to have an amazing advisory board that supports the work of the centre, and one of those members is Mr. Steve Waugh, who I'm just so thrilled was able to join us for one of this flagship program for the centre. So thank you, Steve, and of course you'll be hearing more from Steve later on today. The centre has an interesting role. As Philip said, we are absolutely championing the contribution of the leading lights of the Indian diaspora. We want to drive the confluence between business, culture, sport, the work with think tanks, the work with the education sector. So we work across all these disciplines because we think that to build the most resilient relationship between Australia and India, it has to be long-term, it has to be holistic. We have to take the time to understand what matters to both countries, contemporary Australia in India and contemporary India to Australia, but also respecting our ancient traditions and values. And that's what the centre is there to do, to really build on the soft power. Today we had a fantastic roundtable, a business and sport roundtable, and thank you for those who attended this afternoon's session, which was really kind of actively looking at the next level of innovative collaborative partnerships between Australia and India. And that's what I wanted to end on today, which is this relationship between Australia and India, and certainly the work of the centre, is absolutely dependent on your support, on your linkages, on your excitement around the relationship. For some of you, Australia might be a very unfamiliar business market, but for some of you, you're looking for that pathway in. Similarly, in Australia, a lot of people are very unfamiliar with the Indian market. So see the centre and its institutional partnerships, such as with Cricket Australia, and working with our DFAT colleagues, working with Austrade, as a platform that's to help you absolutely be more confident in your participation in this really vibrant bilateral relationship. So with that, I'm going to introduce Cricket Australia and its partnership through a video, and then I'll ask Richard to come on stage.
World Cup final, 130,000 people. It's an amazing Australian performance today.
So it wasn't possible for this crowd to get any more silent.
They were stunned.
You can see the emotion, what it meant to these men in blue to do it for their fans, to do it for their families.
Absolutely. Thinking in their minds, will they get another chance?
It's India who won the T20 World Cup after 17 years. It's the Champions Trophy for India. Win it after 12 years. And it's another unseasoned going their way. These two sides. Recent times they have played such dynamic cricket.
Let's welcome Richard from Cricket Australia. So, Richard, maybe start off with the conception of the Australia-India Summer of Cricket Series, a 2-year blockbuster, working with government, took, Cricket Australia to another level of cricket diplomacy.
Thanks, Tim. Thank you, Tim. But maybe just to start with, last night I was sitting in my hotel room and I was reacquainting myself with the current men's ICC title holders. And it's a pretty good list. World Test champions, Australia. T20 World Cup champions, India. ODI World Cup champions, Australia. Champions Trophy winners, India. Under-19 champions, Australia. Australia and India hold every single ICC trophy at this present point in time. You want to talk about rivalry? Look at that. We have a pretty big marketing team at Cricket Australia, but I tell you what, right now, when India tour Australia, they have the easiest job in the world. And the last summer pays testament to that, and some of the numbers were extraordinary, and we broke a lot of records. As an example, we had over 840,000 people show up to watch the Border Gavaskar series last summer. And 50,000 of those were actually tickets that were purchased outside Australia by travelling Indian fans, which is another record. For the MCG Boxing Day test, we had over 375,000 people show up to one single game of cricket, which is a record. It's the most we've ever had. That's a big deal. We've been playing there for 150 years. And by way of context, the previous record was set in 1936 when Don Bradman was playing, and we had 6-day test matches as well. We often have spoken internally over the last few years, before last summer, and hypothesised around if and when the rivalry with India and the Border Gavaskar Trophy will ever eclipse the Ashes. And the general view was maybe, but not anytime soon, maybe sometime in the next decade. Well, after last summer, we well and truly arrived at that point. We had, apart from the attendances, we had record-breaking TV audiences. In Australia, we had the largest TV audience we've ever had in the streaming area. Here in India, it was the most watched Test series ever played by India outside India, and the second most watched of all time. And that's something that we're very, very proud of. So how lucky are we that we get to do it all again in October and November? And when you think about all the stories that will play out leading into that, will it be Virat Kohli's last ever time touring Australia playing cricket? We've got Jaiswal after his epic performance last summer. And we would love to see Suryavanshi play down in Australia at some point soon after what we've seen in the IPL. So that's exciting. The cricket's exciting. But we recognise that the cricket's much broader than just a game, and it's a much more important role that cricket has to play as far as our two countries are concerned. It's the national game of both countries, and we know that cricket acts as a really effective bridge by which to deepen connection, whether it be through government, trade, diplomacy, business to business, people-to-people links as well. So that's a role at CA that we embrace. And with a vast, highly engaged and rapidly growing audience for Australian cricket in India and in Australia, it's a role that we think we're really well placed to deliver on as well. This event tonight, just a couple of acknowledgements. Big thank you to our event partners, the Australian Government through Austrade, and John, thank you for all the work that you and your team, Tim, you and all the team at the Centre for Australia-India Relations. Massive thank you to Paul and his team at the consulate here who've done a ton of work. And particular thanks also to GeoStar, who at what is the busiest time of the year with all the logistical challenges around IPL, to send a big production team here and really lead into this rivalry is something that we are very, very grateful for. So thank you. And just the final message from us is we want to extend a big invitation to all of you to come to Australia in October and November. This series has been in high demand with our state and territory member associations, so we've spread the love right across the country. There's games played in Perth, Adelaide, Hobart, Melbourne, Canberra, Sydney, Brisbane, the Gold Coast as well. So if you're looking to plan a holiday or a business trip, what a terrific schedule of cricket we've got for you to build that trip around as well. So thanks to everyone here as well for joining us and helping us to celebrate what is an epic rivalry. Thank you. Thanks to you.
Thanks, Richard. It's phenomenal how Cricket Australia fully embraced the broader relationship, particularly engaging with the Indian diaspora. Richard also has been instrumental in bringing a lot of our Indian diaspora as multicultural ambassadors for Australia. In fact, some of them are in the room tonight. So we're really thrilled with how Cricket Australia has leaned in on the broader relationship. So with that, let me introduce John Southwell, Senior Trade Commissioner of Australia. But before that, John, you're giving me some clues? No? Okay. Yes, reluctantly, on stage, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my absolute pleasure, thanks Jim, to introduce our wonderful panel and also our MC for the recorded segment. So if you wouldn't mind, ladies and gentlemen, particularly at the back, we do need some absolute silence for this part of the evening because it is actually being recorded with GO staff. And if I could please ask our wonderful host, my Auntie Langer, to the stage to take us through it.
Oh, you can do it. I don't think these gentlemen in front need any introduction, and I'm not going to waste any time introducing them. So one by one, let's have Steve Waugh, Anil Kumble, Robin Uthappa, and Matthew Hayden, please. And Robin. So that we can spread the love. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Amazing to see an incredible cross-section. And I think that's the beauty about sport, is that it does bring you together off the field, although sometimes it does inspire those moods of rivalry. Mine is the generation that grew up traumatized by Steve Waugh and Matthew Hayden, completely traumatized. And then we turn to people like Anil Kumble, Robbie, you and I, same generation. We saw him bowling with Europe and joy. What beautiful fighters, just like we always are. And that inspired Robin Uthappa to say that, the best version of myself I can do is a World Cup winner. And that is the beauty of India-Australia rivalry. Over the years, it has brought out the best versions of ourselves, the toughest versions of ourselves. And in that, there was tremendous respect that has grown between these two nations. It translates into two ways. It is the toughest rivalry, it is the most enjoyable, and the famous words is this is the final frontier when you go to both of these nations. That, of course, was a memorable speech, but over the years, now the way that it's evolved, how would you sum up or culminate this incredible, this toughest rivalry?
Yeah, well, I first came here in 1986, so almost 4 years ago, which makes me very old. That was an amazing series in itself. The tie test series, famous tie test in Madras. Dean Jones scored a double century. Played against Sunil Gavaskar, which was a real thrill at the time because he was one of my heroes growing up, and Kapil Dev, and India had a fantastic side. And so many great memories coming to India, the 87 World Cup, and then 2001, the famous series, I was a part of. Unfortunately, we didn't win that series, but it was one of the best cricket series I've played. It was a great time.
Don't pull your punches, though.
I'll leave it to you, mate.
No, don't pull your punches, though. You got to
I'm sure you'll talk about your 530 runs in the series. We've only got a couple of hours, so strap yourselves in. But Australia-India, it's a great rivalry now. The Border Gavaskar Trophy, named after two great players. For Australian cricketers, it probably rivals the Ashes now. It's a really important series, and generally over the last 10-15 years, Australia and India have been probably the two best sides in world cricket, so it's generally a battle for supremacy of world cricket, so it's a very important series.
I think that's reflected very well. I mean, was in terms of ICC titles currently, that these two nations do share. Do you view the rivalry as that, as in bringing out the best version of yourself, which means you have to be world beaters?
Yes, for me, I had the privilege of playing against these two guys. Not easy getting. If you get past Hayden, then you have to go past him. It's tough. And his brother too, which was even tougher. So I guess in terms of rivalry, yes, it certainly created a benchmark for all of us. Beating Australia in Australia was something that what Steve Waugh mentioned about beating India in India as the final frontier. That was something that we all aspired to. And we came pretty close until he again stood his ground and then his last test for Australia. And that was what he wanted to go there and achieve. And I feel over the years the rivalry has, like Steve mentioned, it's supremacy. Two wonderful sides, best sides in the world, go against each other. And like how I mentioned, India going to Australia to beat Australia, that was sort of the dream. And now I think over the last few years we can claim as an Indian team that Australia is wanting to beat India in Australia, which they did recently. I think that's been the shift that we've seen in Indian cricket, and I think it all culminates in the way you sort of have contests in a cricket game, and we've learned a lot playing against Australia. And I'm sure it's been the case for Australia over the last so many years too, in terms of coming in to India and not just embracing cricket, but also embracing culture, which both these two gentlemen have done exceptionally well.
And embracing individuals. Terrorized us from the past. And back when Hayden knows that any strip and yellow that you go to in this country, you're revered just because of that. It wasn't too long ago that those same people were crying when you scored runs against us.
I often get prayers. Prayers of not good prayers. Prayers to get out. But I might notice that Anil Kumble there had the supple sledge.
You got it?
See, when
Hayden was never subtle. Never subtle. He was.
If we get through Stephen, we then have to go through Mark, which is even tougher. Don't pull your punches.
That was before Steve anyway.
See, I get the great opportunity to be here 3, sometimes 4 months a week. So I pick up on this. I pick up on the personas.